Right, good morning and welcome to this edition of Techsavvy. I hope you're all doing well. What I'm doing here today is I'm talking about a very important issue to do with computing that I think everybody should be aware of, which is security and password protection. And the reason for this is I met a couple of people this week who I've helped with that issue. One was a scam and the other was a loss of their password that they couldn't remember what it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'll just put that up here. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. And let's start from the beginning. So when we're talking about security and password protection, what are we doing here? What is it we're actually trying to achieve? Well, the major problem that people have is that they are basically trying to understand how their equipment works and how it can be known to be that you have a password that you have, but how do I store it? Where do I keep it? How do I remember it? Some people just use the same password over and over, but of course that is very poor security protection. So what I want to do is just go through some of the issues that people have with security and with passwords. In terms of protection against scammers, most of the companies recommend these kind of things to protect yourself with. For instance, if what they're offering you've just won the lottery, you've just gained £5 million or something like that, then if it sounds too good to be true, it is. It is too good to be true and therefore not true. Also, scammers work on your fear. For instance, as it says here, your BT password has been compromised, your Microsoft computer has been hacked. And of course, because you might not just think clearly, for instance, that one's very easy for me to work out because I don't have a BT account. They don't know who you're with. They don't know what computers you have. And so what the strategy is, if you get a call like these, hang up. If you get an email, delete it. That's the strategy. Also, it's playing on your lack of tech savviness. There is a problem with your phone account. Your bill has not been paid. Therefore, you try and work out why that is the case. And you think you know you've paid your bill, but you're not sure. So they're working on fear of this. And if you get calls completely out of the blue, the best thing to do is hang up. Don't be polite. Just tell them they're scamming and put the phone down. And of course, with COVID-19, it's become even more prevalent that we get a lot of these we get a lot of these cold calls who are trying to phish. That's the term for it, phishing, PHFISING. So basically, protect yourself from scammers by doing these things. Here's a typical scam that we're talking about. It goes into my spam immediately and I will delete it. And you can see it gives a lot of detail, which sounds quite plausible, and also an address that you can contact. But don't do it. It's a scam. You haven't heard about this and they wouldn't contact you in this way. So I wouldn't believe it. So if it does look a little bit curious, if in doubt, don't. This one is a little bit more insidious in that it involves clearly graphics taken from a website. It's a little bit more clearly to see, but some of them are very convincing. And you can actually really believe they play on being really nice to you. But the secret and the tip I tell you to do is look at the email address. And you can see it has nothing to do with TV licensing. Sometimes it does and has a little extension to it, but check the email address and you can be certain whether that is bona fide or not. Same applies to websites. But the real strategy is don't click on a link. Do not do that, because that means that they have got your details and it becomes more difficult for you to get out of it. If you have done that and you have given them any details, particularly passwords, you must never give passwords out to people you don't know, or even people you do know. Then you need to change your password immediately. It's important. So there's my tip. Never give a password. Check the email address. It usually has a slight but significant variation. Check any links on a website. Yes, follow up. And never click on a link in an email sent from someone you don't know. Often that is another way that they can then access your computer, find your IP address, and then start to mess with you, which usually involves some time of locking your computer out from you and then charging you £150 to have it reset to you. These are criminals, so make no mistake, they're out immorally to scam you and make your life difficult. So moving on to passwords. Passwords we have. Now, many people say don't write it down, don't put it in a place where you can find it. Well, I understand that, and that's fine. You can use a digital means, we'll go on to that. But for people of a certain age, say, then it might be helpful to have a system. Now, I've seen people write their passwords down on little scraps of paper, and they don't connect with any kind of system. They get lost. So what I suggest is get a little book, a little notebook that you can actually write down the passwords in this format. The date that you set up the password, chance you need to track back, the site you're using, enter the password and update it and put an update name to that. Do that one per page on your notebook. Then when you need to change that password, you can cross out the one above it and write the new password in underneath it. Have a system. That's the written form ones. Also make sure that your book is locked away safely in a locked drawer or a filing cabinet, or put somewhere where you can access it, but it is kept from sight. So that's a really good hint to work with that. And then there are online password digital safes, which are, onward password apps that protect your passwords. And one of the beauty of having it written down, either in a typewritten form or through a keyboard, is that there's no doubt about whether that's a capital B or a lowercase b, or whether there's an exclamation mark or whatever. You can't make out the handwriting. It's very easy to do that. Now, all of these, Dashlane, LastPass, NordPass, LastPass and NordPass, then they are all apps that you can download on your mobile phone or on your device or on your computer. Many of them are subscription based, which you pay for, and basically you have a digital way of protecting your passwords, but also a means of accessing them, and it can only be accessed by you. If you're not confident in the cloud and you particularly want to protect some files or some data that you need to, then I recommend you invest in a digital safe. These are the current ones that I use. Steganos, Nimbox I've had as a way of protecting data. BitLocker encrypts your hard drive, but be careful with that one because you could lock yourself out of your own computer with that. And the last one is digital wills. Have you thought about making a digital will so that your partner or husband or wife can actually access your social media space like Facebook and Apple IDs Incidentally, both companies are an absolute pain to work with if you have a lost loved one or somebody has committed suicide or whatever, and you can't access their account. I now have people I know who've died whose accounts are still visible to me because their loved ones can't get in to their devices. So it makes sense to have a digital will that lift down your access needs, or tell people where your password book is, or make that digital will out so that people can access all kinds of different accounts that you access online, or not if you don't do that. So really, that's all I wanted to share about this, and I'll come back to us here. Yeah, here we go. So I'm back to you now, and that's all I really wanted to share now. Each week we do a different Techsavvy, and next week will be a different thing. But I hope that was useful, and that's given you some powerful little strategies and methods to use. And do watch the watch party afterwards, and also if you want to make comments, I'll try and answer them privately with you on that. And remember the adage, never share a password to someone you don't know, or even to someone you do know. If you have to delete emails that come in with links that you don't know who they're sent from, you're not sure, and if anything does feel a bit odd, if in doubt, don't. So that's my strategy. Look forward to speaking to you again next week. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.